From the Vox Populi Studios in Miami Lakes, we bring you the Miami Lakes Business Podcast. So welcome everybody. Today we have what I'd say a very interesting program. It's not about business, but it is about people's learning things that are very badly needed in our country at this point in time. So today we have with us retired Marine Colonel Mr. William Perez.
That's correct.
I'm not going to say Perez because Perez is for, it's Perez. That's right? So Colonel Bill, he's also the chair of the Veterans Committee.
Veterans Committee, yes.
And he's also a vice commander of the American Legion Post 144 here in Miami Lakes. But that is not why we are bringing you here today. We're bringing you here today because I was inspired when we had a conversation not too long ago regarding a nonprofit organization that you have started that is called Veterans Story Hour.
Yes.
And I found it very, very interesting, and that's why you're here today.
Okay.
So, Bill, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
All right. So basically, Veteran Story Hour is where veterans go to elementary schools and to teach children about civics and patriotism and what it means to be an American. We actually, in the Veteran Story Hours, we actually have several curriculums that we're developing with somebody with a master's of education, early childhood education. Because I have experience in adult education and setting up adult curriculum, but no experience in early childhood education. So this person's assisting me. And we have a curriculum basically for kindergarten to third grade, fourth grade to sixth grade, and then we have an adult curriculum. And so, for example, the kindergarten through third grade curriculum is composed of 7 modules. I know this is all going to sound very technical, but you want to do a good job, you have to do a good plan. Mm-hmm. And so the first one is about our flag. And I'll go there and pass out flags to the kids. And we'll talk about what the stars and stripes mean, what the colors mean, etc. And then we'll talk about the history of the flag and Betsy Ross. And I'll read a book about our flag, and that's the book that we're going to be reading throughout all the modules. And we'll talk about the different designs that were promoted to include a Don't Tread on Me flag and what I ultimately won and why. And then we'll end it with teaching them a song. And so the song we're going to teach them is Grand Old Flag. Mm-hmm. And basically the next module is about our government, the 3 branches. And it's very basic, what is a president? What is a legislature? For K through 3. And it gets more advanced, for 4 through 6.
And do the kids at that age, do they
I think
understand?
Well, for the kindergartens, it's probably going to be more with pictures, and more with learning the terminology, and more about singing the song and reading the book. The second graders, I think they'll pick it up. The third graders for sure, because I had the opportunity to. I was asked by West Hialeah Gardens Elementary School to provide a career day. I think I told you about this.
Yes, you did.
And so they gave me this list of 15 things I had to cover, right? And the career day was about the military, and I was going to talk about the Marines and specifically, and what it is to be a Marine. They asked me how much does a sergeant major make, and how much does a colonel make, and all these kind of things. So I had the slide.
So they wanted to know how much money was
there.
Yeah,
and how much training and stuff. So I had all this stuff, and the kids, when I got there to do my presentation, so I had this slideshow, spent an hour and a half putting it together with training, education. So when I get there, the first question I get from the kids is, have you ever seen any sea monsters? And then I realized that the hour and a half I spent on this slideshow was wasted time. Wasted time, And so, I pulled up, I'm just going to go with the pictures, And so I pulled up the pictures, and I had the kids, what we ended up doing was talking about where are the Marine Corps bases, and there was a globe, and I had them show me in the globe, where's Japan, and where's, some places in Europe, and North Carolina, all those kind of stuff. And it was very fun because they'll come up one at a time. So it was interactive that way. And then the other thing was, when I showed them the weapon systems, we had like the Reaper drone and the Striker vehicle and the Cobra helicopter. I got questions like, the kids will be like, why do you name them such scary things? And I'm like, well, because Fluffy Bunny and Happy Butterfly doesn't inspire fear in our enemy. So, it was really clear for me that there was a kind of a hunger to learn about the military, a hunger to, be have a understanding of who we are as a country and stuff like that. And so, like I said in the curriculum, so we have, one aspect dealing with the way our country's set up. But then the next next 5 are all about each branch of service. The Army, what's the motto, what's the seal. I'll pass out an Army sticker for the kids. We'll learn the Army song. We'll probably march around singing the song. Kind of whatever the kids do, whatever kind of marching little kids do, it's just singing the song, just trying to have fun and teach them stuff about our country, teach them stuff about what it means to be an American, basically emphasize the things that unite us as Americans, and also we'll talk about famous soldier, so we'll probably talk about George Washington. When we do the Navy portion, we'll talk about a famous sailor. I'll talk about John F. Kennedy Jr., who was a sailor, an officer in Naval World War II, P.T. Pope. Yeah. And so, when we do the Marines, we'll talk about John Glenn, the astronaut. So, we'll talk about all those folks. We do the Air Force. We're going to talk about probably Eddie Rickenbacker, which we named the causeway after. And folks drive over it not knowing it's named after a World War I Air Force flying ace, So we'll do those kind of things so folks the kids better understand what it means to be an American, and also how they need to learn how to, what are our patriotic traditions. How do we, Pledge of Allegiance, what it means. That's one of the things we'll teach about during the flag part. And when do we stand for the flag, and how do we, stand at attention for the national anthem, and why? Those kind of things. So that's what the nonprofits is trying to do. As to what inspired me to do this, there's two events inspired me to do this. The first one was, we do the Veterans Committee in Miami Lakes. We hold the reindeer run. And so the reindeer run's a 5K. And the beginning of the reindeer run, we have a high school band that plays the national anthem. And basically, the announcer said, please stand for the national anthem. And so I was standing at attention facing the music because there was no flags, either face the music or face the flag. And everyone around me was taking selfies and just talking away like it was nothing. And there was a few exceptions, but most were not. And to be honest with you, Fred, I got a little angry, I didn't say anything because there was a national anthem on. And then I started thinking about it. I go, they're doing what they were taught. So I don't have the right to be angry if they're doing what they were taught. Yeah. And then I realized that when I was in elementary school and middle school in the 70s, just about every teacher was either a veteran or married to a veteran. Either World War II, Korean War, or Vietnam. Vietnam was still going on. And so I realized that patriotism and civics and respect for the flag and all that stuff, that was embedded in our education because it was embedded in these folks who had gone through these challenges as Americans. But now we have less than 1% of the country as veterans. And the teachers don't have this experience. So the veterans need to step up and help the teachers, is the way I look at it. It's not the teacher's fault. It's not the citizens' fault who don't know what to do. It's the veterans are the ones who have the education, experience, and the ability to make an effective change in that area. The second incident, and you probably know about this because you were there, was Memorial Day. We have a Memorial Day ceremony. And Memorial Day is the most solemn, sad, sacred, non-religious day we have in America. It's when we honor those who gave their lives for our country. And we honor the families of those who had to live without them being there for all the holidays after they died in combat. But yet, you as well as I, who are veterans, we always get approached and we're told, Happy Memorial Day. And it's not about us. We are the lucky ones. We made it. It's about those friends, those colleagues, those brothers, those sisters who did not make it. You know, and it's also not a happy holiday. It's a solemn, sad holiday. And so one of the things you saw that I did with the Memorial Day ceremony that we had was I tried to educate folks to say, don't say Happy Memorial Day, say Blessed Memorial Day, because it really is a blessed day. Mm-hmm. We're honoring those who died so we can be free. And we're honoring the families who will have that pain all their lives because of the sacrifice they gave to us, their son, their daughter, to help us stay free. So those were the two things that inspired me to kind of start this. There was a realization that good people, patriotic people who were wishing me a happy Memorial Day, they were good people, patriotic people.
Yeah, not
knowing. They just didn't know.
Not realizing.
They didn't realize. And then when I would go to these schools and the teachers, they didn't know because they didn't have the exposure. So I said, it's up to us veterans to step up. So that's why I started this nonprofit. And hopefully we can get into the schools. I've had a lot of interest, and make a difference, with these 1 hour little classes and where we teach kids but we also teach adults, and the focus of the adults obviously is much different. I'm not going to teach them a song. And so, for example, the focus, I put together a course because I was an adjunct professor at Marine Corps University where I taught national security studies, command and staff, to junior officers. So I put together this course, an overview on national security studies, or overview on national security strategy. And basically its focus is how it impacts our economics at a macro level. And it's designed for Chamber of Commerces. So everyone there is a business person, and everyone there may not have full awareness or full understanding how our national security strategy and our national security structure supports business. We have 4 aspects of national power: diplomatic, information, cyber, which includes cyber, military, and economic. All of them are integrated, and all of them are mutually supporting for our own security. And I have a sense that most business owners do not understand this, and I think they should if they want to be good citizens and make informed decisions based upon policies that politicians are making. So I have one course to put together to give them kind of an understanding of what the national security structure is, what our regimen is dealing with international law and stuff in regards to supply chain issues, and also basically how the military is structured in order to support those aspects of protecting basically economic lines of communications, they call it, our supply lines, because most of our supplies come through shipping. So we have to have ability to protect that shipping and to keep freedom of navigation, they call it, through those areas. Because if we don't have a effective military strategy and support our economics, we don't have an economy. It collapses. Sure. We won't have anything to sell because it all comes through shipping. So long answer to one question, but there's your answer.
No, I tell you what, I think it's and I applaud you for for what you're doing, and I hope that through this podcast and through the Miami Lakes Chamber we can promote this a little more, because I think it's important to verse the people on this basic things that aside from the civics. I think the civics is something that I think it was taken out of school a long time ago, and probably shouldn't have ever be taken out of the school curriculum, because it's something everybody should know exactly what our government, how we because we all answer to the government at some point in time.
I think part of it was taken out because it was lack of capability and information. Like I said, when I went to elementary school, either the teacher was a veteran or married to a veteran, so civics was just imbued in them. You know what I mean?
It was, and it was taught in schools. Right?
Yes,
I remember being in civics class.
Right.
And so I mean it was part of the curriculum, you know.
Right.
And but you know, you talk about the, you know, Pledge of Allegiance. I was talking to a teacher the other day, and she was telling me that when it got time to do, and that was something that was all automatically, you know, the Pledge of Allegiance every
Right.
morning, a prayer or
Right.
whatever.
Moment of silence. Yeah.
Right. None of the kids wanted to get up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. And
Wow.
you're talking about middle school kids.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of future are we looking at? You know,
Yeah.
so I think what you're doing is exceptional. I think,
Yeah.
and I applaud you for it, because I think that's you know, it's very badly needed at
Yeah.
this point in time that we're living, you know, in the country. We got to tell our audience how can they help you? How can they contribute to this nonprofit? Because it is a nonprofit
Right.
organization, so so that they know, you know, where to send you
Yes.
know, the donations and what have you. So if you can share that right now, I think it will be great.
Well, I mean, I think when one of the things, Fred, is I basically put this thing together after talking to a bunch of folks last month. And so what I will do is I will share with the Chamber of Commerce once I have my website up and once I have the ability to donate directly.
Okay.
You know, and I would say to folks, you know, every little thing helps, and I'll be honest, we don't need that much to make a difference.
You're
Because
actually
really,
living off of that.
no,
So-
no, I have a wonderful retirement as a colonel in the Marine Corps. So I'm not living off of that.
Right.
What I'm investing is my time. And basically, you know, the cost I have is the flags, the stickers, the books,
Right,
you
the
know,
material
the
that you're gonna be
materials
giving
things.
away,
You know,
yeah.
it's so we're going to get a lot of, as they say, bang for the buck. But once I have that set up, I'll give it to the chamber. I hope to be invited to the chamber once I put together the adult
Oh,
course on
no
national
doubt.
security strategy. I'll throw on my dress blues so people will pay attention. And we'll go through that class. And it's apolitical. In fact, I'm going to tell folks this is apolitical. This is information. The information will provide you, I mean, the adult ones is apolitical. Well, the children ones is there's no politics involved.
Yeah,
It's
right.
basic information, history.
Obviously.
But the adult one is apolitical. It's providing you information that is taught, you know, at master's levels, at the Army War College, the Naval War College, the Marine Corps University, so you can better understand how our defense supports those aspects, you know, and make decisions as, you know, a business owner.
That is an essential,
Yeah.
you know, essential information that most of us in the business world are not even aware of.
I know, exactly right. You know, I mean, and I think once we, you know, we'll do the first module, you know, the first adult module, and then we'll discuss whether you guys want anything follow on, you know, and we can always do that as well.
So once you have that in place, you
Yeah,
certainly.
I got the
and
syllabus done, so I'll put the slideshow together, and
you
then I'll.
would certainly be invited as a guest speaker
Fantastic.
to one of our luncheons. But right now, the last part of the interview,
Yes.
what I like to do is I like to. I know you're gonna say this, but you know, Bill is a retired colonel, bird colonel, which is
Right.
the next rank is general.
Yeah.
So you missed it by a
Just
little
by the
bit.
skin of my teeth.
But you know, it's been in Iraq, it's been in Afghanistan, 32 years of service in the military, which I applaud you for. You know,
Thank
for
you very much.
and also he's an attorney. He got his law degree in the in the military
Yes,
as well.
Yeah.
And you were one of those JAGs, they call it.
Yeah. Well, the Marine Corps doesn't have JAGs, but I was a judge advocate, and I was also battalion commander and a chief of staff of 2nd Marine Division. I mean, I was very blessed. They gave me so many different opportunities. I had a great opportunity to work with a lot of wonderful Marines. You know.
What made you join the service, Bill? You're a kid from Hialeah, or Miami Lakes.
Miami Lakes.
Miami Lakes, actually. You actually
Yeah.
grew up here in this town.
Yeah, we're one of the original families in 1974. We
Oh
came
my
here.
God, unbelievable.
So what made me join? You know, I would say it was those influences when you were, you know, younger that you didn't realize were impacting you a certain way, you know. And I remember my father, who never served in any military branch, but he had a great respect for the military. you'll watch those John Wayne movies. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I know.
And
They used to play for us in the military and
Yes.
the army for the Vietnam
that's right.
era.
So anyway, and just basically, the teachers I had, like by the time I was in 5th grade, I knew every patriotic song, every military hymn.
Wow.
When we would do a show every 4th of July and every Flag Day for our parents, and and I knew, even the Yankee Doodle Dandy and all those old ones, that came out during World War I and World War II for raising bonds for the war and stuff like that back then. And so I guess that was kind of imbued in me. And then when I was in my first year of college, I said, I want to join the reserves. And I went to the Joint Recruiting Center, and I saw the Marine Corps, and it appealed to me. And that's what made me join the Marine Corps as an enlisted reservist first, finished my college. Then I went OCS, and went to Perez as enlisted, OCS while I was in college. Got commissioned afterwards, and off I went to my active duty time, doing all the rest of this stuff. So, I mean, that's basically it. So it really started in elementary school.
Wow.
And what's funny about it is, you just realize that those little seeds that are planted, and, that in elementary school, teaches you how to be American and teaches you, all those songs and all those, what those means, can later on influence you to decide to join, or at least not join, but at least be a patriot. And understand what it means to be an American.
And at that time, we didn't have any social media.
We didn't have any social media, so it was basically.
But there were some influencers as well.
The teachers back then were the
there,
influencers.
yeah.
Their teachers, your parents,
Mm-hmm.
and those, like you say, unfortunately, they're not the biggest influencers anymore, but they really are still, especially for the early childhood education. The influencer until the kid gets to middle school is the teachers and the parents. And so all we're trying to do is help reinforce the teachers with this nonprofit, help reinforce the parents, and help kind of teach everybody more of what unites us as opposed to what separates us.
Exactly.
And I think that's important, especially right now, because we kind of have a divided nation.
Yes.
And so I think that's something that's very needing right now.
Well, we applaud you here at the Miami Lakes Chamber and
I
this
appreciate
podcast,
that.
and I hope that our audience really appreciates the sacrifices that Bill has made for us, in his career as a military in the Marines, and most of all, I would say the project that he has right now.
Yeah.
This nonprofit organization, and of course, the chamber. You can count on the chamber of for any support.
I
And
appreciate
also
that.
Miami Lakes Auto Mall, which I represent
Yes.
as well.
I appreciate that as well.
We'll be there for you as well because I think it's a worthwhile cause. So thank you so much for being here with us today and accepting our invitation. We really appreciate it.
And thank you, Fred, for inviting me and giving me a chance to talk about this organization. And I really, I don't have grand goals. If I can change one or two children's minds or open their minds up,
That will be enough.
that's success.
Yes, I
Because
agree.
that multiplies.
I agree.
That's the way I look at it.
I agree.
So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and until next time, folks.